Hello once again, friends. So we got
Hello, hello.
we got the amazing Ryan as well, and we are here after watching the very first episode of Survivor season 40, Winners at War.
So, before we even get into it, like overall thoughts. Was it a great episode? Was it an all right episode? How do you feel?
I feel like it is an amazing start to what will hopefully be an amazing season.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm totally there with you. And I
I,
know, like, you and I had a lot of opinions when we did our preseason talks, but I
I
felt like there were some characters that kind of surprised me in a good way. Like, I'm excited now.
Well, I'm going to start off by saying I don't know what preseason anything that you're talking about, unless you're talking about that video that's going to be linked in here. Once everyone's obsessed with our recap of episode one, they want to see where it all started. Yes, if that's what you're talking about, I totally know what you're talking about. That being said, no, I was additionally I was very surprised by certain players, very unsurprised by other players. I think it's there's the thing that makes this season so great, and what I somehow, if Survivor could encapsulate this in future seasons, it's that everyone's paranoid.
Yes.
All the reasons under the sun, and that I think is what's that constant. It's probably hell on the players, but that constant sense of dread and fear and paranoia on the players' part is going to make people do some dumb stuff, and I cannot wait.
Right. There were some fantastic editing moments tonight. I think a lot of people got some screen, like, I think at least they hit on everybody at some point with screen time tonight. But speaking of moments that were not great with the editing, why don't we go ahead and just start with the beginning of the episode?
Why not? It all started at the beginning. Go ahead.
So there were some things, like you get some character intros before the challenge and stuff. There were some really inspiring moments. I liked Parvati talking about how she was a phoenix out of the ashes, going to burn your house down. Like that was cute. That was classic Parv. We've got Ethan talking about his struggle with cancer, which is really inspiring, and it just kind of makes me like super pumped for Ethan. And I felt like we got a lot of that throughout the night, which was really nice too. Um, the whole lining up the tribes with the champagne toast. I was like, and then I was convinced when Jeff popped the cork that Ben was gonna grab it and think it was an idol or something. Like I was waiting.
I I had mixed feelings about the toast. I thought it was great. I also was like, how forced and terrible, but it's also like it's an iconic moment. It's
Yeah.
20 winners all coming together to do what they do best. I wasn't living for it, but I did love it. So
How do you feel about immediately going into and not just a reward challenge, immediately going into an immunity challenge? How do you feel about that?
I mean, I love a good all-star season where it's like we put everyone on a tribe and we want people to start building those relationships really early, everything like that. So when they went immediately into the immunity challenge, I wasn't crazy about it, but ultimately, I don't think it necessarily made or broke the episode personally. What about you?
I was a little frustrated, if for nothing else, because only giving them at first when he mentioned it, I was like, so they have a day to like vote somebody out, like that's stupid. But then they clarified that it started out on day two, which is a little bit better. But I don't like the idea of not being able to build bonds before you have to struggle with who to vote out. And I think that got reflected as the episode went on as well, which we can hit on later. But it definitely, I don't think it changed the game for the better with that decision.
I can totally see that, and I do not disagree. I think for me, the bigger issue I had with that was day one, it's a challenge where on either tribe, only 5 out of 10 people participated.
That was my big issue with the challenge.
That for me was the bigger issue than, hey, it's day one, it's minute 40 into you guys being on this island together. Let's do a challenge and vote someone out tomorrow night. I had less of an issue with that than I did with, oh, hey, let's have a challenge. And without revealing too much, spoiler alerts, it's like one of the people that went twice for their tribe wound up getting the boot, which I'm like,
Do you think that was like either a planning fail or an editing fail? Because like here's the thing, right? Would you really plan a challenge with 10 people on each tribe? to be best out of three, knowing only two people from each tribe play once? Or do you think it was like in reality they actually played like 5 to 7 rounds, and then for time they were just like, oh, best of three?
Could be. That could absolutely be what happened. I would love to. I prefer that being what actually happened if that's true. Then I just feel like, oh, hey, so if you're on a tribe that won and you didn't do anything, it's like, well, okay.
Right.
And then if you're on a tribe where you lose and you played twice, it's like, if anything, I'm like, hey, I will go again, but I feel like maybe since it's the winter season, some of you guys want to show out and perform. So
Right.
one would think, I've never been crazy about the whole best of three and only two people play in each round. I've never been crazy about those challenges. So that's how I feel about that. Yeah, it was kind of disheartening seeing like, oh, red wins the first round, blue's gonna win the second round. But wait, no, they're not.
Yeah,
So
like, was the ocean drifting in a certain way? Because it was very weird that they were that close and then a big wave hit and suddenly they were all the way over.
suddenly it was like I looked down at my phone to take notes about the episode, and I looked up and I was like, wait, why is blue losing? They were like a foot and a half away from that post. Anyway,
Right.
um, so we have the challenge. I'm still struggling with the tribe names. Bakal wins.
Yes, Red Tribe is
Scylla, Celestia, I don't know. Uh, we'll get there once I hear the tribe names pronounced enough times. But before we get into all the rigmarole of post challenge, what are your thoughts on this new twist involving fire tokens?
You know, at first I was kind of like, fire tokens, but after seeing the whole episode play out, I'm a little bit more interested in it. I'll have thoughts later on it for sure in ways that I think that's definitely broken. But
Yeah.
at the introduction of it, I'm like, okay, Jeff, how do you get fire tokens? And he didn't mention it, but it does it. He did explain. Well, not he explained it. It was explained later in the episode, which was helpful because the whole time I'm like, so the only way that you can get fire tokens is if someone's voted out of the game, because that's silly. Like, it's going to take you all game to get 4 fire tokens so you can get whatever it is. So, you know, I wish it was a concept that was introduced in a different season, is my only thing. I would like for this to be a more back to basic season, and that's my take on it.
I think there's a significant amount or a significant portion of the fan base that definitely would love to see a return to classic Survivor. I don't think that ever was going to happen because I think the game runners are very much in this mindset of let's throw chaos on top of just calamity, on top of a monsoon, throw it all in Fiji and call it a season. And that's just what we all just have to make peace with that. That's what we got.
Survivor Stone Soup.
I'm not crazy about the fire token situation. Personally, when Jeff pulled out the immunity idol, I was like, are those fire tokens for eyes on the idol? Are we doing product placement for our own show? Are we our own product and product placement? Because that is like new levels of stupidity for me.
Literally the ugliest idol they've ever had, and they used to have an idol that looked like Willard from Palau, so it's the ugliest idol they've ever had.
What's funny is I did not know that till you said it, but now that you said it, I'm like, I think I remember that idol.
The
Anyway,
immunity Willard.
I was just like, Survivor is notorious for product placements. Can we talk about Jack and Jill as a reward challenge?
Oh my gosh.
So the fact that it's like, oh, we're going to take this arguably terrible idea. It might pan out and be entertaining. We'll see. But this arguably less than ideal in the traditional Survivor sense idea. And we're just going to go complete ham on it and literally put coins in the immunity idol. I'm that idiot, though, that would be like, did these things come out? Because I'd love to have 3 tokens after the first challenge. That'd be great. But I'm also greedy, and I'm never angry at free coin. So that's a thing.
Right. Well, epic first challenge is what Jeff said. An epic first challenge, it was not. So
I was going to say, it was so innovative, and I've never seen a challenge like that. And I'm not faulting the game runners for recycling challenges. Just like I said, I need money, just like anybody else does. So I'm not mad about it. But a little uninspired. And like I said, I love the perspective that maybe there were more rounds of the challenge. But the fact where it's like, oh, we literally saw 5 people on 2 10-person teams, I'm less than thrilled.
yeah.
let's see. What do you think? Oh, we already talked about that. Oh, so I
Yeah,
love after the challenge, we immediately go to the tribe camp that won. And
yeah.
oh my God, where is the enter button on my typewriter? We don't care. We want to see what's going on the blue tribe, because that's where all the excitement's going to be.
Right. But, I liked what we got out of it though. There were some interesting moments, interesting beats on the Red Tribe without having to panic and stuff, and we got to see some really cool things. What were some of your things that you really liked over at the Red Tribe before we hop into the chaos of blue?
Specifically, that happened directly after the challenge. I don't
Yeah,
have that many notes because I literally was like, why in the history of Survivor, when a tribe loses immunity, when do we go to the winning tribe's camp? Unless there's either a reward that they're enjoying or anything like that. Like, it seldomly happens just because I think fans
right.
like, no, we want to see the chaos. Um, I found it very interesting, the whole dynamics as far as like Tony and Sandra having worked or played in the same season. And then the whole Tyson dynamic. Is that when they announced the whole Poker Alliance situation?
Yes. So like
Oof.
my huge takeaway here, I was like super excited with Yul and Sophie teaming up, like come through. So excited. And Sophie just talking about how Yul is like her mental meat shield. Like there's a lot of really interesting dynamics going on. I think the awkwardness between Tony and Sandra was really funny because she was like, "There's no bad blood, right?" And he was like, There's no bad blood." Like so awkward.
Also,
Um,
that's really awkward because I think both of them probably went to their confessionals right after and went, oh my God, that's gonna be a shit.
right,
It was so magical. I loved Sophie and Yule having conversations and everything like that. Anytime Sophie talked about Yule, whether it was like the mental meat shield, or I think at one point she was like, I'm never gonna be the smartest person on the tribe as long as Yule's around because Yule's always talking about physics or something. That was almost my drop the buff moment because that just made me cackle in a very odd
right.
sense. So I was a fan.
I was just super impressed with Yule wanting to target the multi-turn or multi-time returnees. Like immediately he recognized there's a few people here that have only played one other time. There's a lot of people that have played multiple times, and like that he's doing exactly what you would want Yule to do. So I'm like super proud of him.
I'm a big advocate. I was a big advocate of Yule before the season started. I'm an even bigger advocate now. I'm scared for him because I think people are going to realize, oh, he's trying to do everything smart and intelligent, and look what that did for him first time. And
Right.
he seems to be keeping his cool from what we've seen. So yeah, I was a fan. Was there anything else in our little vignette on the Red Tribe that caught your?
I was actually I was enjoying Amber a little bit more than I thought I would, just in that quick little thing where she was looking for an idol and stuff. I'm like, you go, girl, you fierce. Like that's great job, Amber.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I found myself very much like I was not a big fan of when Amber won her season, and when she was announced on this one, I was kind of like, meh. But watching the episode, I was like, I'm kind of in love with Amber Burkich Mariano, and I don't know
Yeah.
why. So yeah, I was not hating her at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I
Uh,
have. So
oh,
let's go for it.
oh, my other big moment on the Red Tribe, just because it's the only thing that came up where I was like, what? Tony seemed obsessed with announcing he was not leaving camp. It was it was almost like, hey, I'm not going for an idol. Hey, I'm not leaving camp. No, I'm staying here. It's like, nope, I'm not leaving with anybody. I'm just staying in camp. And I almost just wanted to go, if he goes in this episode, I'm going to die.
So
Because
in general, for Tony, my moment of the episode that annoyed me, which I called my got nothing for you moment, was Tony being as subtle as diarrhea in a public bathroom with everything. He
that's Tony in every game he's ever played.
and I just wish he would change because he said he was hoping to, and he didn't.
I was gonna say thank you for moving forward. I'm sitting here like I'm losing my partner to the back of the room.
My
Uh,
so is leaning against the wall.
no, you're good. I just found it really funny. It's like, oh, I'm not leaving camp. It's almost just like, look, everyone, I went to rehab and I'm not drinking. And it was just like, just Pat, I'm saying, I'm not leaving. I'm not being devious. And I'm just like,
Sure, girl.
I've been in the room, I would have been like, and this tea is delicious.
All right, let's hop over to the Blue Tribe back at their camp because this is where, like, you know, the juicy juice is starting to be poured. So, what moments were you like zoomed in on?
Well, the one that took me initially, and it was one of those no moments, was as soon as Denise went off with Adam, I was like, no, danger, danger,
Right.
Robinson, do not pass go, do not collect $200. No, abort, abort, eject, everything, get the hell out of that situation. This is not going to be anything positive for your game if you are anywhere with this guy. And I
And
swear,
of all the people for her to be doing that with, Adam.
out of everyone to do that with. And a split second, he was like, oh, I could be your Malcolm this season. I was like, here's the thing. No, absolutely not. Shame on you for even saying that. You should know better. Ugh. I was,
Imagine being Adam Klein and likening yourself to Malcolm.
and here's the thing. I have decided after our episode where we went through all the players and I kind of ripped a little bit harshly into a number of them, I decided I'm going to be nice. I'm going to say things like I was not thrilled with their win or I was not thrilled with their gameplay, but it is a television show and I'm going to be respectful. The split second Denise was with Adam, I was like, no, the devil is alive.
Get out, girl.
Literally, it was literally like the film Get Out. That's all I could think about was that entire movie. And its symbolism about like racism in America. All I could think of was like, Denise, eject, go, get out. I'm rambling. Anyway, I was devastated. That was the big thing that caught my eye.
Yes.
I loved the little conversation between Boston Rob and, I hate calling him that, Robert Mariano and Parvati, where he's just like, so sup? And she's like, you still trying to target me first? And he's like, no, baby, I got you. And she's like, okay, we'll see. That was fantastic.
It was super cute. I really enjoyed Parvati just in general. Like she had a lot of quips over on there, like leading into the first tribal, like in the earlier part of their tribe showing with like talking about her kids and then talking with Jeremy when they did a flashback with James and how she was flirting with James and they like flashed to Jeremy and I'm like, do not do this right now.
Type. She got a type on Survivor. In Cook Island, she was looking with James in Micronesia. I don't know if they had a black person other than James in Heroes versus Villains, but Parvati got a type. I ain't mad at her.
Speaking of the Adam and Denise thing, my specific note that I wrote down when that started happening was Adam in all caps. Adam and Denise, oh no, I don't want this. No, 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 my heart is broken. No, this is terrible. So yes, completely.
Do not pass go. Do not call $200. Like, don't do it. The other thing that happened in that whole shuffle, I love that we're talking about the dumbest moments compared to what actually led to people being voted out. What was it? When Ben had this moment where he's talking to Ethan, he was like, so when was the last time you played? I'm willing to bet money, even though I am not a Ben fan. I'm willing to bet money he meant that in the purest, most casual tone. But I was like, you need to understand and respect your history.
Right. You better learn today.
That was, it felt like subtle shade, like, so how old are you, Ethan? When did you play this game, old man?
Ben gave me a lot of eye roll moments. Not only were there times like he's found some octopus and crab or something, and he sounded like Deb Eaton talking about rocks from Survivor Australia. Flat out was like, rocks! I found a crab! Him telling Boston Rob that Danny threw his name out there. Are you on crack? Like,
oh my God. This is why I don't like Ben and why I think he's a crappy player. I'm sorry.
Already the worst move of the season, and it was 10 minutes into the game.
Well, and the best part about that is that Boston Rob corners Danny and then goes, well, she told the truth, so I'm in it.
There is a reason she is a queen.
What's funny is he's in it with Danny, and the best part is the one who told him, which was Ben, is not included in the plans that he makes. And I'm just like, see, Ben, this is why Chrissy should have your spot right now.
Exactly.
Of women to men, but I would not care because Chrissy was the better player. But I'm not angry and I'm not talking mess, but maybe a little. No, when he did that, I was just like, Rob is just gonna win this game.
Yeah.
It's day one and it's art, the pathway is just being set. And I find that so fascinating that Ben was so quick. I would love to think he held on to that information for like 6, 7 hours. I wouldn't be shocked if Ben told Boston Rob that Danny had thrown his name out like 20 minutes after it happened. I would not.
It was literally probably not 5 minutes later, knowing Ben. But it did lead us to this great moment where there's an old school alliance now. How do you feel about the old school alliance?
I love the old school alliance, except like there's a part of me, and this is just probably how he is when you play the game with them. There's a part of me that was adamantly like, it's his 5th time. I don't need to watch, I don't need to watch Jeff Probst salivate over Boston Rob for a 6th season, if you include Island of the Idols. I don't need it. I can pass. We've seen him play very similarly enough times to where I'm like, I don't think we're going to get anything new. Boston Rob, I'm just like, the fact that he did not even get a vote in tribal council, I'm like, I gotta be honest, he's growing on me. It's taken, when did Marquesas air? Like 2002? It's taken 18 years, but he's slowly growing on me. So I was impressed.
Emphasis on slowly.
Sometimes you hold a grudge.
There was a great moment that I picked up on with Natalie. It was the first time we saw Natalie all episode, which was crazy, except for in the challenge. And she had a quote talking about how Adam and Denise snuck off. And she said, Adam and Denise sneaking off into the woods, taking way too long. For me, that was strike 1. And I don't need a strike 2 or strike 3 to target someone. Like, one reason is enough. I was like, this girl, she gets it. She gets it. I like it.
Look, when it's that much, I think my favorite part of the episode, spoiler alert, both tribes end up going to tribal council. My favorite part of the episode was how everyone was just like, you gonna give me a name? Nope. You wanna tell me who said what? Nope.
It was such a different form of Survivor for us, because normally at least there's one bozo that's like, oh yeah, let's vote this guy. Nobody wanted to speak. It was crazy.
Nobody. And I think what I ultimately love is very much like the direction I think that the showrunners have wanted this show to go in for a long time, is literally, I think there were 2 groups of people at both tribal councils who were like, what? And that's what I think set the precedent for what will hopefully be an amazing season. We will see if this whole fire token thing doesn't completely destroy the integrity of the game. We will see. Do we have anything to talk about before we go into tribal council?
The only other thing that I noticed, and it was really bothersome to me, they played up the fact that they'll have an extra day before they go to tribal council, yet not a moment of the talk of the strategy looked like it happened at any time other than the day of the challenge. You know what I mean? Like it all seemed like there wasn't any nighttime stuff, there wasn't any camp life stuff. It was literally just them walking around the woods, the same kind of chaos for the whole time. So that was kind of weird to me. I don't know why we didn't get, I think the failure of the editing in this episode is it would have been fine to just do one tribal council in this episode and give us all that space and time, do a 90-minute episode and give us time to see different things going on. So
I think that kind of goes back to our conversation earlier about having an immunity challenge right out of the gate. Mm-hmm. Because it's like in a season where you don't necessarily know all the players, it's kind of fine because they usually do a good enough job of being like, these are the major players of this episode, and then throwing maybe in a couple extra players just for levity. Whereas in this one, it's like, these are established people that the audience already knows. And I think I feel like every winner probably has something resembling a fan base. Obviously, some fan bases are larger than others, but it was just very interesting that that's the route that they decided to go with it, but it is what it is. You keep getting like shorter and shorter in your frame, and I'm just gonna need you
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna need you to angle and stick with it.
I'm setting my laptop on a pillow to fix this. There we go.
I was like, we are professionals. I'm kidding.
So
this is what's horrible. I'm never writing notes on my phone ever again because every time my screen locks, and I go back to it, it scrolls to the top of the note. So
Oh no.
I was just
Well, I think we're ready to get into the tribal anyway. So
getting ready to go into the tribal. And here's the thing about the tribal. My poor roommate had to come out and figure out why I was having a cow in the living room, because going into it, I was like, if Denise goes home in the first episode, that's like Danielle Reyes if she had gone home in the first week of Big Brother All Stars.
yes,
For
my
those
anxiety was
who don't know
so
what
high going
it's a
into it.
show that happened a long time ago. What'd you say, Ryan?
My sorry, my anxiety was so happy going into it, or so happy, so high going into it because I like Natalie's name was out there, Denise's name was out there, and then Adam's name is out there, and I'm like, okay, okay, vote for Adam, that's fine. But I just it, heading into it, my prediction was that it looked like based on all the tribal council answers and stuff, and the way the editing was going, it looked like it was going to be Natalie, just because of the way people are answering. I think it pointed to Natalie, and
Okay. Because that was going to be my first question to you about tribal council was, who did you feel going into the actual vote, who was actually going to go home? Because I had myself convinced, and it was probably just mentally preparing myself. I was convinced it was Denise. So I'm intrigued that you thought it was Natalie.
no, I thought if anything, I thought Denise came across as really, really well spoken, which is not a shocker at all. And then Adam almost came across a little bit bratty, both like back at camp and then at tribal council, like calling out Rob and stuff like that. It's not, I won't say it's not smart, but when you know Rob is in the power position, you don't call Rob out. Like, you're not gonna.
Can we talk? That was like my honorary nominee for my drop the buff moment of the week. Was literally when he was like, "Oh, people are talking about me and Denise because we had a 40-minute walk together out of like a day and a half. Rob's wife is on another tribe." And when he said that in another tribe, I was like, "Yes, Adam, give Rob a reason to have them vote you out over Denise. You're like in my bottom three as far as winners in the season. I want to see go far. Please dig that hole with your own shovel, please." I was very, very surprised that A, Adam didn't go home from that, and then B, that it was Natalie. It was interesting because I forgot that Natalie and Jeremy were close on their season. I completely forgot about that. If anything, I was like, I know they were on the same season. I know Jeremy left before Natalie. My guess was Natalie probably voted him out.
Oh
So
no, 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 they were so tight.
there are too many seasons for me to rehash and rewatch all that stuff. So I apologize for nothing. But yeah, when they started focusing on that, I was like, it's gonna be Natalie or Denise, and they're both like top 5 for me. And I'm like, this is the worst start ever. But
Yeah,
the fact that there is Edge of Extinction, if they only bring it back for like all-star seasons, I could probably tolerate said twist.
yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that. I was really bummed to see it be Natalie. 7 to 2 to 1 vote. There were 2 votes for Denise, and I got super nervous. I was like, but then when they all kind of came in for Natalie, if I'm gonna lose one of the two, I'd rather lose Natalie than Denise, just because what I find really interesting now is when Jeremy and Natalie played for the first time and Jeremy got blindsided, Natalie like played for revenge for Jeremy. And now it kind of looks like it's gonna be the reverse, which is really cool. It's a cool little dynamic. So I'm kind of excited to see. That moment actually made me really more excited to watch Jeremy than I had been for the rest of it so far. So
No,
we'll
I
see.
love nothing. Hell hath no fury like a survivor scorned. And I know Jeremy's not going to be happy. And I think Jeremy has the social finesse to rebound from this, not make too many enemies, but also be like, okay, those of you who lied to me, I got my eye on you. And the split second it benefits me, goodbye. I wanted to know your opinion about your thoughts about, there's a lot of abouts. I wanted to know what you were thinking as far as the dynamic between Natalie's sister Nadia being voted out first in her season and then Natalie being voted out first in this season. Because that's layered. That's
It
that's some
is.
German chocolate nonsense, and I am very much very intrigued. If anything, I'm willing to bet at least one person, probably Rob, was like, you know what'd be really funny?
Oh, I bet at least one person pointed it out. I bet for sure.
So it was like, hey, maybe like she had to console her sister on being voted out first. So why don't we vote her out first? I'm willing to bet cash at least one person was like dying that that's what they did.
Yeah. Well, because Jeff even brought it up at Tribal. Jeff was like, Nadia was voted out first. How do you feel? Like, ironic. I'm sure they aired that on purpose too. Because
That's
you
what
know those tribals are like 3 hours long. So,
they are. But even so, that's one of those situations. Like I think back to this was the first time I started losing my boy crush on Jeff Probst. Was one of my favorite survivors in Guatemala. He was like, so I think her name was Margaret. Margaret, you're the oldest woman in the tribe. Can't really contribute much in competitions. Not really a threat physically. Why keep you? And I think that was the episode she went home. And I was,
yeah.
you're a dick, Jeff Probst.
You,
Well,
you have no redeeming qualities. Why should you stay in the game?
and I was just like, not only is that ageist, but it's like, do we need another woman voted out of this game? All right.
All
Yeah.
right. So Natalie does go, and we see kind of like the typical edge of extinction thing. Um,
What are your thoughts about giving the coin to another player? And then on top of that, we learned that Natalie has the ability to give advantages to players still in the game.
yeah, the whole like Santa Claus thing, I'm not too hot on that.
I'm not,
Um,
not here.
I think it totally makes sense to give your fire token to someone else when you're voted out. But like there are some things I think this whole like earn one token and pay one token for an idol is absurd, and I hope it doesn't happen very often because literally if someone looks at you and goes, oh, do you want to buy this idol, you can only play it in the next 3 tribals, but it only costs you one fire token. Who the hell is going to say no? So that was kind of lame. I think it should have cost a little bit more. I will say I had a fun moment watching all of the rewards that she could spend her fire tokens on if she found them. Like a jar of peanut butter. I was like, I'm just imagining myself like collecting 8 fire tokens and just chilling on the edge of extinction for 39 days with 8 jars of peanut butter.
I mean, when she
I
was
ain't going hungry at all.
when she was going down the list, and it was like, oh, advantage at the get back in the game situation, peanut butter, pizza. I was like, this is stupid. And then one second she said a bottle of wine. I was like, tell me more.
However,
It was the bottle of wine and a hammock, and I was like, let's be honest. If it were me, I'd just be like, I hate these hoes that just voted me out. And honestly, I could use this towards getting back in the game. I'm stuck on this island by myself for a couple of days, and then more people are going to come, and I'm just not going to look at or talk to them. I'm going to hang out in this hammock and drink
this
one
is my hammock.
lovely day. So I'm just like, look, I have feelings and opinions, but I thought that list was really stupid. I think it's just way too much interference from people who have been eliminated from the game.
Yeah, it would be cool to have some kind of influence in some way, but one fire token for an idol is the most overpowered thing. I literally can't fathom it.
Yeah.
However, she randomly gave it to Sandra, which is pretty freaking great. I'm really happy about that.
I was going to ask you, what do you think went behind Natalie's decision to give Sandra's set idol?
Here's my thought. I think that Natalie probably blamed Boston Rob and the old schoolers for her going home. So it's possible that she thought by giving it to Sandra, who would have been one of the big targets on that tribe, that Amber might be the person to go next, like to kind of weaken
Oh, okay.
Boston his
Now,
and co.
now I'm only curious that hearing you say that because I would have gone into the season assuming that Boston Rob, Amber, and Sandra would have been pretty tight. So it's like if she felt that Rob was in any way involved in her dismissal, I feel like it's almost like giving it to his not second in command because that would be Amber, but maybe his third in command. First
I
in
don't know. I
command.
guess I'm one of those people. I didn't think that Rob and Sandra were coming into the season to be in cahoots.
Well, I only did because they were very tight in Heroes versus Villains. They were both coaches on Idol of the Idols or Island of the Idols. So to me, I was
Yeah,
like,
but
why would they
I
not?
guess if someone comes in with their wife, are you gonna like, and Sandra of all people, like I don't see that her being comfortable being like, oh yeah, I'll be like the princess to your king and queen. Like I don't think that's a Sandra.
I love it because this is the first time I think you and I are flat out disagreeing on something very, very poignant. Because I feel like Sandra going in as the only two-time winner in a season of all winners, she knows that she's a target. I think if anything, she's going to go, well, let me look around and say, who are the people that are also going to be targets that I can play up the, hey, I'm a huge target because of this, you're a huge target because of this. If she was going to do that to anybody and try and go the distance, it'd be with Rob.
I don't know, because she's working with Tony and Sandra or Sarah, and they're both big targets too. So
I think Tony's a target because he makes himself a target. Boston Rob is a target because he's a freaking idol. Like
yeah.
like the quintessential. People say he's the greatest player of all time. I disagree, but people keep saying like he's like on this upper echelon of gameplay, and so is Sandra. So to me, knowing that they were super tight in Heroes versus Villains, and knowing that they get along so well, and we saw it on Island of the Idols, I would have $120 on the table. It's like, well, they're obviously going to be friends, close / working together. That's just me. Clearly, I was wrong because I was like, spoiler alert about Second Tribal Council. I feel like we've gone down the rabbit hole. Natalie goes home. That was terrible. The aftermath was, ironically, they go back to the Red Tribe. And I'm like, I don't care about the people that didn't go to Tribal Council. I want to see Jeremy freak out about Natalie going home. And instead, we're treated to Michelle, who, again, trying to be nicer. I momentarily forgot she was on the season. So hearing her be like, oh gosh, I'm on the outs and I'm in the numbers, and I'm just like, oh, bless your heart. I want you to do so well, but okay. What in the aftermath leading up to the second tribal council on either tribe struck you as interesting?
Um. So let me see. I have notes. Oh, I guess should we talk about the second challenge really quickly before that? Because I have notes about like post challenge Red Tribe.
Okay, the challenge was a challenge. It was good. I'm glad that they had
It
multiple.
was better than the first challenge.
Very better. It should have been the first challenge. I was totally team blue. I'm not going to say the name anymore until I hear it pronounced a couple more times so that I can stick it to memory. I was totally team blue because I was like, Denise got votes. I don't want Denise to go, so I need Denise's tribe to win. That being said, I was totally rooting for them. When they ran into that first obstacle, I was laughing. And I was like, oh, y'all are going to tribal council because y'all, no one out of 10 people know how to steer. And
Well,
that made
the Red Tribe had Kim in the back of the boat, and then the Blue Tribe had Adam in the back of the boat, and they were counting on Adam to help them navigate. That was probably your first mistake.
that's one of
There
those.
were there were some really interesting moments to the challenge that I enjoyed. My girl Denise diving off the blocks, doing a pike in her dive. Come on, there is no reason to do that other than you trying to show up on national television. You get it, girl.
As a person who pretty much uses showing off as a way to say hello, I lived for it. So
Was
I wasn't upset. I was not mad. I was
um
a girl. Go Denise. You get your
get it. I really enjoyed Rob's strategy of launching people over the cylinder when they were failing. Like that's why Rob like is good at Survivor, because he thinks of the stuff that nobody else is gonna think of. Like they were struggling so bad.
Really. No, I wholeheartedly agree. And I think at one point, Jeff Probst, who I very seldomly quote for anything good, called Boston Rob like the workhorse. And I was like, that's the best way to describe it because he was all in it. He was all in it. And what was it? When he was like tossing people over, I was like, bless your heart. I'm here for it. I was stunned. The way that they made it look, and I almost wonder if it was just for editing purposes, they made it look like McCall.
Yeah.
Sure. They literally made it look like they were light years ahead of the Blue Tribe. So the fact that they not only caught up, but spoiler alert, won the challenge, I was very, very thrilled. I also think I like the balance. I think it wouldn't have been a good first episode if we didn't see both tribes go to tribal council. So I'm very happy that it went down that way.
Yeah.
Mostly because Denise is still in there, but secondly because I don't like the seasons where there's like a tribe, whether it's 2 tribes or 3 tribes, or one tribe doesn't go to tribal council for like 6 weeks or 6 rounds. I don't like that.
Right. I really enjoyed Sandra being a cheerleader and yelling at Tony during the challenge. Come on, stop looking away. And then Jeremy's comeback was insane. I mean, I'm sure it was edited, but it looked like he went 3 for 3 without a practice throw on that final part, which was super impressive.
I was very impressed. So it was
It was a nice
lovely.
redemption challenge.
Sorry, it was a nice redemption challenge. I totally agree. So the blue tribe wins,
Mhm.
and then we go into the debate about who goes home on Bacall or Red Tribe, because I'm still not confident that's the name. What were your thoughts on names getting brought up and how that all unfoiled?
This whole poker alliance thing, I mean, I really can't say it enough. I've got to give so much credit to Yule, because he really like brought the strategy into this game to call out this insignificant game of poker and this insignificant moment where Tyson jokes that, oh, when we return, blah blah blah, we're all going to work together, and everybody ate it up. And Yule is so reserved that it wasn't. I mean, if many other people had brought this up in that way, people would have written it off. But because Yule said it, they're like, oh yeah, there's got to be some kind of truth to this. Like we've got to look into it. I got really worried for Kim. Like I don't want Kim to go because of this situation. I was even kind of like looking at my TV going, is Tyson actually about to be like second boot? Because this is a weird world if he is. So
It
it made me again go into tribal not having any clue who's about to go home, which is super cool.
I was wrong because I had it in my head it was going to be Tyson or Kim. I was convinced. So the fact that it wound up being Amber, if anything, I just felt bad for her, which I never thought I would ever say about Amber Burkich, other than marrying who she married. I'm kidding. Just kidding. Just a joke. Everybody laugh. Um, I very much was like, she wasn't even present at the time of this whole poker situation. She wasn't even there. So it's like, for me, I'm like, and the fact that Tyson was the one that said, "Oh, Survivor Alliance," I'm just like, if it were 3 players I didn't really care about, I would have been like, "This is absolutely stupid." Or I'm sorry, if it was 3 players I did not care about, I'd be like, "Yes, hammer this poker alliance. This is so great, love it. Anything to keep the ones that I like in the game. I am not upset." That being said, since it did involve people, I'm like, in 20 years of this show being on, do you guys really think that there aren't like lunches that have happened or baby showers people have been invited to or weddings or people have been like, oh my gosh, if we ever play together, we have to be on the Lions. Ha 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 ha. So it's interesting. That's what is so great about this game. It's so interesting how one little factoid can spiral for a situation or against a situation. It's so fascinating, and that's why I love this show. I hated seeing Kim on the outs, and she knew that she was on the outs. And you brought up a really interesting point about Kim during preseason, talking about Kim's never been behind the 8 ball. And you actually pointed out, like, it's going to be interesting to see if that happens to her. And the fact that it happened in episode 1, I was like, Ryan is a genius.
Well, I gave so much props to you because you were talking about how cool it would be to have first time returnees work together, and then that happened too. So maybe we have a little bit of this juju going on. I don't know. But I was super impressed with Kim at the tribal council for dismissing this poker alliance, and I hope that in some way it did help her a little bit. I'm not going to say that the votes changed at tribal because I highly doubt that they did, but I think it will at least buy her some clout going forward. It
Yeah.
seems like Tony is really stuck on Tyson. And and it's weird to say this because we've never seen it, but if a player can come back from this situation, I think it is Kim Spradlin.
Yeah.
So
I
I'm,
I would love for Kim to come back. Sorry, I just cut you off.
no, you're fine.
No, I would love to see Kim come back with like the fury of 1,000 suns and be like, oh, okay, hookers. And it's like, if anything, I think it's only episode 1, and you think people would be playing nicer and playing everything like that. I just love the potential like dynamics that are building. Because Kim, especially with like Sandra kind of being like, I ain't telling you anything, girl. Sorry,
Yeah.
goodbye. That's a potential rivalry that's getting ready to happen. The fact that Sandra voted out Amber and they already like threw us or cued us in like, hey, this is potentially something that Rob's gonna be like, hey, did you vote out my wife? I'm living for it. I'm curious. Oh gosh, I had a question involving the second tribal council, and for the life of me, I can't remember what it was. Uh, were you in the mindset that Amber was going home? Because you seem pretty like you thought the editing was leading towards Natalie leaving. Were you unsurprised by Amber leaving as well?
I thought it was going to be Tyson going into the tribal, like, but based on everything I had seen, I didn't really, I thought I didn't see Amber coming from the edit.
Same.
So, and I was a little surprised because I felt like she was getting a good edit. She was getting like a nice deep game edit in that episode.
I was very surprised because it felt very like I haven't played in a long time. I'm the wife of like a dynasty survivor player. Like she's technically a dynasty player as well, just because she's so deep rooted in like the core of like survivor lore and everything like that. So I was very surprised to see Amber go. So when Kim got a couple votes, I can't remember who got like a stray vote, maybe. Somebody else got one, I think. Nick got a stray vote, which Nick's on this season. And then when all the rest of them went to Amber, I was like stunned, completely.
Right.
Moving forward, looking forward to future episodes. What were your thoughts on Amber or on Sandra being so pro anti-Amber based on Boston Rob not telling her that he was going to be on the season? That felt for me very left field for Sandra.
I kind of think it's like they're prying it out of her almost, because it doesn't sound like a Sandra thing to really give a damn about. I think either she's just inventing a reason to want to split up Rob and Amber, which duh, you need to split up Rob and Amber.
Correct.
So I don't think it's really like motivated by this. Oh my God, you lied to me.
Yeah, like you didn't tell me you were going to be on season 40 when obviously I would have found out on day one. It felt very fabricated. And I remember sitting there watching it going, even if this were on sale, I'm not buying it. Like under any circumstances. Like this could absolutely be like at some outlet, thrift, anything. And I'm just like, no. You keep yours, I'll keep mine. I wasn't buying it. And the fact that they're building into this whole Sandra might have been behind it. I was like, oh my God, are they fabricating Sandra and Rob just so they can go against each other? Because I'm like, don't get me wrong. If it happened naturally, it would be epic. But I'm already getting the sense like this is not happening naturally.
Right. Yeah, I don't buy it. And then like the bummer for me is in the preview for the next episode, I felt like we didn't get anything. Like it was a lot of Survivor Tonight, a lot of info, and then I felt like next time on Survivor, I'm like nothing happens. Like they showed clips of challenges and Tony climbing up a gigantic ladder and oh, you're gonna fall. I'm like, I really hope your follow-up episode to this double episode is not that's the most interesting thing that happens. Tony climbs up a big ladder.
Can we like postulate for 2 seconds? Like Tony climbs up a ladder. I was gonna say Ben apparently knows something going on between Adam and Denise, and I'm like, Denise, if you learned anything from round one, stay away from Adam. That is like,
and stay away from Ben. Stay away from the both of them.
Ben totally ruined Heroes versus Hustlers versus Healers, whatever the third one was. He totally ruined it for me by winning, and I'm just like, he's going to ruin Winners at War for me somehow magically. He's going to reap into the depths of my soul and figure out how to ruin it and do exactly that thing.
Did you think it was interesting that they were talking about getting all of like so like the Blue Tribe has old school and the new school, and Ben was talking about like getting the new school players together to take out Boston Rob and the old school, but he didn't mention Denise. He was like, me, Adam, and Michelle and Jeremy need to work together to take out old school. I'm like, Ben, I know you don't typically work with numbers because you just find idols, but 4 versus 4 is not a majority.
In a 10-person tribe, yeah, funny how they're in a 9-person tribe at that point. I'm like, okay, I wouldn't be shocked if Denise had a moment where she was like, you know what, Ben, you're blessed when you're not near me. So let's kind of keep you blessed as often as we can. I wish I would do something like that. That's more of an Alex move, but yeah, I was very surprised. So, what would you call like your drop the buff moment of the episode?
My drop your buff moment, I've got to give it to Yule being brilliant and selling this poker alliance thing for every penny of $2 million that it's worth, because he just really he did everything that I wanted one of their attorneys to do this season, and I was super impressed with Yule, just like I was hoping to be. So Yule figuring out exactly who he needs to work with and then selling the poker alliance, that's my drop your buff moment of the episode.
What's amazing is that's such a great thing to give your drop your buff moment to. Mine was far less consequential. I think mine was very much going into the first tribal council for the blue tribe was literally Parvati going, I feel like it's Rob and I playing Survivor for 8 people. And she said something along the lines of, she's like, is it me? Like, am I missing something? I'm the
Are
target.
we getting punked? Are we on punked?
You know? And her like completely expecting, I think she was like, I'm gonna go in there and they're gonna target me round one, because that's exactly what happened during Heroes versus Villains. And I just kind of went in there just kind of being like la 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 la, and I got targeted. So I think she went in expecting, she and Rob probably, to be the early targets and they probably have to go against each other. And she's just like, anybody?
No.
No, no one's voting for me. No one's voting for Rob. Like, am I being? Is this a joke? So Parvati's one of those players. It took her three games for me to actually appreciate what she does. I still wouldn't even call her myself a fan. She's an amazing player though. But she could go early or go late, and I probably would feel very similarly either way. And that's way nicer than anything I would have said to her after Micronesia or Cook Islands. I just find it fascinating that nobody seems to be targeting Rob other than Ben, who's the one I have the most negative things to say about. And then no one seems to be going after Parvati either. And the fact that she had that moment of, it's gotta be me. Totally me. So that was my drop your buff moment, because I was just like, you know you're good when you have the resume of Parvati and Boston Rob and not one vote comes up for you.
Right.
That was my drop your buff moment. So it's been fun dissecting episode 1. I feel like since we promised to be significantly less long-winded, that does make sense. Anyway, since we promised to keep videos shorter, I think it's probably a good place to call it.
Yeah.
Any last second tidbits you'd like to throw in?
No. I mean, let's be fair. It was a double episode, so we did have a lot to get through. So
Unpack, and I have a lot of feelings, and you
just have a lot of emotions.
I
I am more excited for this season now and some of the players in it than I was going into. I was already excited for the season, but I am very impressed by some of the people, including Amber, who we don't even have anymore, than I was going into it. So I'm very excited for things to play out, and I'm glad that I don't think at this moment that things are going to be predictable, which I am very happy about. So
very happy about that.
fantastic premiere.
I had a lot of concerns going into the season, and most of those have been dissipated. We'll see if they rear their ugly heads later. I think the biggest concern I have about the season is this whole fire token situation, because I know somehow magically something dumb's going to happen, and I'm going to go, but we'll see. Anyway.
Ben's gonna find a treasure chest full of fire tokens.
Oh my God, that's just going to be, let that happen. Let's retroactively make that happen.
Right.
Ryan, thank you so much for joining me again on this lovely little venture that is us talking about Survivor. For any of you that have made it through even 5 minutes of this, at that point you probably wouldn't see me saying this, but thank you for being a part of this little journey with us. If you have questions, comments, anything we should have talked about that we overlooked, if we're rooting for the wrong people, tell us why. Feel free to write all that happy stuff in the down there's, and we'll be sure to bring up what we can in next week's episode.
Oh, really quick before we go, winner pick. Who's your winner pick?
My winner pick right now is, just because I love her to death, if I had to pick one winner, it'd be Denise.
Okay, I'm going with Yule, based on this episode.
I think we both have solid choices for very, very good reasons.
Perfect.
I would literally be thrilled for any winner who hasn't played more than once, as long as it's not Adam or Ben. I'm so sorry, and arguably Nick. If any of those three make it to the end for for a second time, I'm willing to be open-minded, but we'll see. What about you?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how I feel about it. Nick didn't even bother me in this episode, but Adam and Ben were the only two people that probably rubbed me the wrong way, just
Ah,
with what they did tonight. So shocking.
I was say, what are the odds? Anyway, thank you again.
Thank you guys for watching.
Much love, much appreciated, much love. Let's do this. I know how to do this, but not really.